Guests ranging topics from UFO radio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of
Scout 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Scout 6316, North Approach, gonna maintain 3,000, number 1 for the right.
3,000, Scout 6316.
Redwood 811, gonna maintain 4,000. Airport open the box, 1.
Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 Roman Carefly runway heading runway 5. Let's take off.
Check.
And we're ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport. A 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time. Burning like the summer sun, when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, your host of Cosmic Passport, and I'm no longer the host before the host. Our next host is James Tyson, who's going to be bringing you a great show tonight with Skeeter. Gosh, I keep thinking of Skeeter as Skeeter Welhouse, but I just think of Skeeter. So that'll be on in an hour. Until then, we've got Cosmic Passport coming at you. We are changing up our Saturday nights on Cosmic Passport starting right now. What we're going to be doing is talking about your process of I guess experiencer growth, intuitive growth. It's so exciting. I'm getting a tremble in my throat because it's like, oh my gosh, I actually get to talk to people about their stuff. So I hope that you will, in this next hour, feel free to ask me questions about what's going on with you, what's going on with your energy, what's going on with your intuition, what's going on with your experiences, anything that has to do with your process and your practice as either a paranormal researcher, a paranormal experiencer, an intuitive, a fledgling spirit medium, an advanced spirit medium, and Reiki master, Reiki practitioner, or something else. I may not know exactly. I may not be trained in the modes and the mediums that you are trained in, but we have guides, and we have guides who talk to guides, and I don't have just one guide that I talk to. What I do is I invite your guides to tell me what's going on with you, and they know you way better than my guide knows you. So that's how it works. If we're going to look at what's going on with your process, with your ascension, with your opening up to the cosmos, this is really going to become, on Saturday nights, the Cosmic Passport. And on Sundays, what we're going to start doing is bringing you other teachers who may be intuitives, who will talk about their modes and their paths in their processes, and kind of, it's like when you're going down the path and you're singing lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and then you have these happy times when we're off to see the wizard. You have scary times, you have happy times, you have times you trip over tree roots. Everybody on the path as either a spirit medium, a paranormal experience, or somebody who sees ghosts, somebody who has a kid who's an indigo or a crystal, or somebody who has been in denial for years and years. As you open up on this pathway, there are a lot of things that you've been told that are myths, that are scary. There are a lot of things that you've been told that are myths, that are about process, and everybody has their own way through. So that's what we're going to devote Saturdays to from now on. What's your way? Are you doing it the Joe way, the J.A. way, the Gail way, the Elizabeth way, the James way? What is your way, and what do your guides say about your wayfinding as you go along? We can also talk about other stuffs, like puffin stuffs and marshmallow stuffins and, I don't know, teddy bear stuffs. No, other stuff and other people's stuff to a certain extent. Hey, have you heard about so-and-so said this, blah, 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 a little bit of gossip. I like a little bit of gossip is fun. Little bit. Not ton. Little bit. So, that being said, let's go back to the things I'm supposed to be talking about, which are, hey, you're on spacedoutradio.com. If you're listening to us at spacedoutradio.com through Spreaker, good for you, because I think that's where we're playing tonight. You can also find us in various other places. iTunes. Supposedly, we should be on freedomslips.com. I'm not sure if James has set that up for this weekend on Revolution Radio, but if you're listening to us there, thank you. If you are not a Spaced Out Radio space traveler at this point, go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the link, and really think hard about that $5 a month and whether or not you need that Frappuccino, because that supports keeping the studio up and running, and we give you extra stuff. And you can come into the Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers chat room, where we learn cool words courtesy of Bill Cardwell, and we make puns, and we would bake cookies and share them if we could, but there's no oven in there, so never mind that. Is anybody getting some feedback? I am. It's a little weird. I'm not sure why. Gentle feedback. Oh, good. Well, I've got like a fuzz thing, so if anybody hears any fuzzy stuff, I'm sorry. All right. Well, James is back. You've got your tea. Go get your tea. I'm sending James away to... Oh, yeah. Yeah, the disembodied voice that you didn't hear was James. And he's getting tea. Okay. All right. That being said, since this is the kickoff show, this is the Saturday that we are kicking off Cosmic Passport as kind of, what's your path through the cosmos? How do we get you out there to experience in a deeper, more profound, more expansive, more limitless way? I am on the SLR Space Travelers chat room. James is going to be on the chat room on Spreaker. If you have questions, or if you want to tell us what you're interested in, that would be helpful. Then we can talk a little bit about those interests, and it will also give me notes for the coming weeks for ideas of things to present and ask deeper questions about. So unfortunately, just because this is a beginning show, this is the first of the first of the first, and I don't even know what tools I need in my toolbox or what subjects you really want to hear about. Although you would think as an intuitive, I would just know. I would read your minds and I would know. Oh, but I'd rather hear it from you, because that means that you're interested in it right now, and we're not in a time dilation situation around a black hole, which we were last night, some of us. And, this is what's happening for you. So I'm reading through the list here. Question for you guys. Anybody interested in remote viewing? Please write in the chat room. If you're interested in remote viewing, let me know. We talked about that on the SOR chat room a little bit last night. That is something that I do have knowledge of and can give information about. For me, my questions for you would be, one of the things, there are kind of three pillars. So I think of remote viewing as one of the basic things that anybody should learn to do if you're going to be working in the paranormal, if you're going to be working as a spirit medium. Because the interesting thing about remote viewing is that it's not a religious activity, i.e., it doesn't talk about chakra systems, although, we know there are energy systems and energy points in the body. It doesn't talk about third eye. It does not make solid, significant, and real any ideas about limitation. And one of the things that you find in various religious orders or religious cults across time is that in the teachings, there are these ideas of built-in limitations. Like, once you get to be this purified, or once you get to be a saint, or once you meditate enough, you are going to be able to have realizations, and you'll become very, very psychic, or you'll be saintly, and your third eye will open, or you just can't eat any meat, and you have to eat all vegetables forever and ever. Amen. And don't you dare have a piece of sugar. And oh my God, did you just smoke a cigarette? The one thing I like about remote viewing is, for good or ill, it teaches you how to use your mind and your body and your energy system to be present with all of reality through consciousness, which is our connection to oneness, without having these preconceived notions about how, quote unquote, good you have to be as a person, or moral or ethical, in order to do that. Now, the bad part of it is you could be a psychopathic jerkwad. And I have met psychopathic jerkwads who apparently, on my labs, I have trained as remote viewers, and they've come back to me and been their psychopathic jerkwads. Don't be. Most of the people on here listening to Spaced Out Radio are not that. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. But and so in some ways you got to say, well, the religions are good because you have this whole order kind of weeding out the psychopaths. Well, unless the psychopath takes over the religion, which we've kind of seen in a lot of modern day religions. So, but the fact is, be good, be moral, be kind, be compassionate, want the good for people, and you don't have to worry about opening your third eye and having some Uber being come down and say, wave their magic wand and say, hey, Joe, you know what? You're so good, and the proof of your goodness is your long, flowing, beautiful hair and the fact that I am now opening your third eye. Not necessary to do that. So I would like to set up some things where we can do some remote viewing practice, where people can ask questions about that. If you're not interested, fine. Just tell me to shut up. Okay.
But I'm interested.
So, look, he's interested, and he's back. So Gail Hodson-Shirk has asked a question. Elizabeth, did you say the teaching part would be for an hour for Saturday? It'll be for an hour on Saturday, and then I will invite in another person, or on Sundays we'll be inviting in someone else to give a talk on another subject or about subjects we've been studying. Joe, can someone RVing me give me a headache? Possibly so. You give me a headache? No, I mean, possibly. Can you tell me more about the situation and if that's happened? Can you block someone from remote viewing you? This is from Gail again. You can to a certain extent, and the issue is not so much. There are lots of different teachers who teach that in different ways. The problem is how much energy do you spend blocking people, and you want to be in a situation where you expend as little energy running in the background as possible. So like I have a friend who puts up a gazillion billion mirrors and a mirror ball around himself, so if somebody tries to remote view him, they just see themselves. It takes a lot of energy. I would more or less just remove myself from the vibratory capacity of the person who may be remote viewing you when you don't want to be. And that means that's setting it up with other beings who will just shift the energy. So the person it's kind of like their view, you go into a different vibratory state when they try to view you, and it's different than what they're expecting. And that, to me, that takes less energy. Now somebody might say, well, how? And I'm like, I don't know, just to me it does. But there'll be things that some people are good at doing and better at doing, and other things that other people are good at doing, and how much energy it takes one person to do one thing will not be the same for another person. Okay, so Joe says, most headaches I get are normal, both sides of the head pounding, but every once in a while I get a headache that starts between my shoulder blades and runs in the bottom 6-inch band right up the back of my neck and into my head, and it just doesn't feel normal. Okay, let's look at it. Yeah, it's because you're a weirdo, Joe. No, I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. I am going to remote view you. I hope it doesn't give you a headache. I'm going to remote view you when you've had this headache. So what I'm being shown and what I'm being told to tell you is that headache has to do with you not expressing your truth. And it's almost as if you get into these states where you don't feel as if you can be who you are and have it be okay. And instead of your heart chakra being open and energy flowing through your heart chakra, and then, running up to your throat and then running up through your mouth, and whatever Joe actually thinks just coming out as a natural expression. Joe is just expressing what's in his heart. He's expressing what he's interested in. Instead of that happening, all that energy gets forced to the back up to your cervical 7th, which is the bottom of your neck, and it runs over the top of the back of your head. So there's like this, it's like if you've ever had a VW and the electrical fuses are screwed up. Your energy fuse between your heart, your throat, and your mouth goes to the back of your neck and over the top of your head, and there's frustration involved with that. So it doesn't feel right, but I think there's somebody in your environment who tends to make you feel, or some situation in an environment that you get into from time to time that can make you feel that you are not allowed, or it's not okay for you to speak your truth. And then it tends to shut you down. So that energy goes over the top of your neck, over the top of your head. It hits your eyeballs, and it almost makes you just want to shut your eyes. Yeah, your C7 was broken in 3 places and your C4 shattered. Okay. Well, that would certainly cause a problem. And then that energy If your heart energy runs up through there and then runs through the broken stuff, it's going to be all over the place and when it gets up to the top of your head. Let me ask your guide what you can do about that. For you, it does have to do with grounding, and there's more gentle manipulative work. It's not chiropractic, but it's almost like cranial sacral that can be done very gently to move energy through your neck and over the top of your head and in your skull. And then the other thing is when you're outside with your dog, sit in a chair where you're sitting up. Don't sit in like a lounge chair. Just sit in a chair. Have both feet on the ground and sit as straight as you can and meditate about your energy flowing into the earth through the bottoms of your feet. R. Keith Andrews was talking about foot chakras not being open, and if you meditate on your energy from the top of your head or above the top of your head, like a great big sun over the top of your head, sending energy down through your crown chakra, down through your neck, down through your spine and the front of your body, down through your hips, down through your long leg bones, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet, and that energy sinking into the earth, you will open up your foot chakras on a daily basis, so you won't have to have someone do it for you. And no, he doesn't have an implant causing his headaches. He's just weird. Sorry, Galen. And sorry, Joe. Yeah, you're weird. And then, but when you let your energy sink into the earth, you keep that foot chakra open and you keep that energy running from spirit down into the earth. Imagine it running into the center of the earth, and if there's anything that's painful, like even your C7 being broken, any emotions, any frustrations, holding your tongue, imagine it going down into the center of the earth and becoming neutral energy. That it stops being the conflict that it is, it stops being the pain that it is, it stops being the suffering it is when it hits the center of the earth, and it is completely transmuted into neutral energy. And then allow earth energy to come back up, that cord that you created from the sun energy over the top of your head. Allow earth energy to come back up that cord and start to infuse your body from the bottoms of your feet, up through your feet, your ankles, your calves, your knees, and into your solar plexus. And imagine mixing earth energy with the heaven energy around your middle, around your solar plexus. So yes, Joe, you said, I hold my tongue to keep others around me happy. Could that be it? Absolutely. You're not speaking your truth because you think your truth will cause others to be unhappy or cause them to judge you or make them uncomfortable. And when you do that, you are lessening your connection with your divine self, but you're also lessening your connection to connect with, you're lessening your ability to stay well as you. Yeah, so Joe says, I was doing it backward. I was drawing energy up through the earth. That's fine to do. Draw it down from heaven first. Put it into the earth. Let all of your earthly cares sink into the earth and turn into neutral energy, and then draw the energy up through the earth, and then mix your heaven with your earth in your middle. And that should help a lot with that. But for you, let me see what else your guide says. Yellow is a good color for you too. There's a little bit. You're not frightened of much, but you need strengthening at your core to be who you are. So you should be the guy who picks the dandelions and puts them in the water, because you should have things like dandelions around you. Bright yellow, good flowers like dandelions are good for you. Probably good for your liver too. I'm not sure how much you drink anymore. But Dandelions are a good flower for you. Yellow flowers, yellow mums are good flowers for you. That kind of color yellow is good for you when you have a little bit of time and you can open your eyes because your headache's not so bad. Concentrate on looking at that color yellow. When you're feeling like, oh, well, I can't really be myself because that'll make somebody else think something about me. Be joyfully weird. Woohoo! Go ahead. All right. Does anybody? That's all I really have to say. I have nothing yellow.
I've got something. I've got something from the other chat room. We've got. It's Shar is asking or saying. There is a question in there. Animal communicator, who is trying to destroy my dog's training and how? Took her Wednesday night. I'm not really sure. There's I'm repeating exactly what's written.
Yeah. It doesn't have to do with your path.
No.
No, I'm not sure, and I'm not sure what. Yeah.
I don't see the question either. So, but I thought I'd better say it just in case it meant something to you.
Let me look at it. I'll look at this situation and see if there's anything about the path. I'll ask your guide. Hold on.
We always have these interesting breaks.
Yeah, Shar, what you have going on is you have a lot of dark cords in your solar plexus where people steal energy from you. And it's become kind of a habit. And whether it's the animal communicator or just somebody stealing energy or somebody giving you that idea, what you want to do is kind of like with Joe, imagine the energy of the sun coming down through the top of your head. Ground yourself, put all the energy into the center of the earth, have the earth energy come back up. But what you really need to do is concentrate on the cords that are in your solar plexus, because I've got a lot of black and gray cords between you and other people, and that means that those cords are toxic, that your connections with certain people or their connections with you are toxic to you, and you want to ask that those cords, that energy is replaced with pure love light energy. And when you run energy like I told Joe to do, after you've centered into the earth and you have energy coming back up and you're circulating heaven energy and earth energy in your solar plexus, I want you to visualize or even just say, all cords between me and other people are now replaced, the energy of all the cords between me and other people are now replaced with pure love light energy. Pure love light energy. And think about this animal communicator. Think about the other people that you've been having problems with, and you can say them by name. The cords between me and so-and-so are now replaced with pure love light energy. What happens is, if you don't need to have a cord, if the cord was only there to siphon energy off of you in a vampiristic way or to harm you in some way, it will drop away as soon as you fill it up with pure love light energy. If there's no reason for you to have the cord will drop away. If there's a reason for you to maintain a relationship with that person, that relationship will change. And if you find that you're still in a relationship with someone you don't expect to be, what you want to do is keep saying that the cord is full of pure love light energy, because there may be a karmic reason that you're still working through. But that's your thing. That would be good for your path. That would be good for some of these relationships that you are having with people. Now, everybody, there's going to be movement that you hear because my computer's about to die. And I got to move it.
Aww.
So, hold on.
Hey.
I know.
But on a positive note, I spilt all my tea. It missed the computer, landed on my lap, and I'll be doing the rest of the show semi-naked. Okay, maybe not a positive note. Disregard.
Well, it depends. I mean, for some people that could be a really nice, pleasant, positive vision.
And then the
For
people
some
who know me will be going,
And the people
yeah, Shar,
The people
Elizabeth
who
does
imagine
communicate
you.
with animals, but it's kind of not what she's doing right now.
Yeah. And this is more about you, why are you in that? Why is that person in your life? What can you learn from that situation? People are getting their hooks in you, and if you fill up those cords and those hooks with pure love life energy, those hooks are going to drop away. So I replace all energy of all cords with pure love light energy. Repeat that. Say this person's name. I replace all energy of all cords to this person with pure love light energy. They can't do anything to you or yours that doesn't vibrate with pure love light energy when you have really worked this process of filling those cords up with pure love light energy.
Oh my God.
It's not possible. I know that sounds very Pollyannish, but I'm old enough to know that it works. So believe me.
Char's
Hear
just
me
saying,
now, believe me later.
Char's just saying she has no
Hear me now.
idea who it is, but I think you do, Char. You just have to identify them. It's obviously somebody you know.
If you could, even if you just say the animal communicator who's doing this with my dog, that's enough of a target. And if you just say all cords between me and any other person are full of pure love light energy, that covers everybody. Cords either drop away or the relationship changes if the relationship is meant to stay. So,
Cool.
Oh, Vivian left.
Vivian, where did she go?
I know. Good night, Vivian.
Do we have like an address for her? Where I'll go over to her house. It's Saturday. What can happen? No.
She has her family coming in. They're here. They're there. So she'll be back tomorrow. So Joni asked, do I pick up anything from me in terms of where I will use abilities? We talked about that all week, Joni. I was here. But we shall repeat the message. Hold on, let me ask your guides. And this is an appropriate question, how and where and how to learn to use your abilities. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to do a quick clearing for Joni. Divine High Self, Divine I Am Presence, Infinite Spirit, Infinite Consciousness, please clear Joni and myself for work. Please clear us to the level of love, the level of infinite radiant love in the most optimum level possible. Please clear Joni's guides, her guardian angels, spirit protectors, spiritual committee members, all beings of goodness and light who love to assist, who happen to be here with us. Ooh, Joni. Joni, do you like whales? I'll wait. Oh, and Corey, I'll get to you in a minute. And do you live anywhere near where you can work with animal rescue and rescuing whales? Because you're meant to do animal communication with whales for the purpose of animal rescue with whales, and you may not get an organization per se helping you, like a traditional American or Canadian organization helping you. But I would go, if I were you, Joni, I'd check Penelope Smith's website because she does animal communication with whales and dolphins. And she may do classes with whales if she's not retired. And that's Penelope Smith. And she runs an animal communicator website, and she's done a lot of work with animal communication and whales. Your connection with whales allows you to time travel back through all the information that whales hold about this world and other worlds. And we were talking last night about, do dolphins communicate with aliens? And then also another thing came up last night with our Keith Andrews about this world being a library, or this there being a lot of information in this world. You're meant to connect with that deep, old, long-term information that whales hold. And, just like they have these deep sounds that they make, these deep vibratory sounds that they communicate with, if you're going to do healing, it's going to be a kind of axiotonal healing with deep vibratory sounds like whale sounds that really sort of shake out long-term problems in someone's energy system that keep recurring. So there's healing with that. Now, right now, I know you're starting to get a headache, so we still need to open up your foot chakra. I'm going to stop looking at you, and I don't want you to think too much about any of this. I just want you to write it down, because I don't want to give you a headache. Okay? Okay, Corey asked, and Joni, I'm going to go answer Corey's question. Corey, I've been told that my energy gives me abilities. Any idea what those abilities look like? Oh, you're so opening yourself up for me to make a joke. Yes, you're the green arrow. You're the green arrow, Corey. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Divine High Self, Divine Young Presence, please clear Corey and myself for work. Please clearest level of love, infinite radiant love, highest level possible. Corey, I have to ask you, how old are you right now? And not that I won't read for you, I will. I just am curious what your age is, so I know what I'm looking at over time. If you could just write it. I'm up by the question, but I'll scroll down. Okay. You got to figure out what you want to do. There's really nothing. Some people are. Some of us are Jacks and Jills of all trades. We're generalists. We're not picking just one specific thing. We didn't come here just to learn about one thing. You have a lot of energy, but you also have the problem with that. And I've faced that actually back at your age, was that it was hard to make a decision of which thing to do. So if you look at my website, it says I do spirit mediumship, which I do remote viewing, animal communication, blah, blah, blah. Because in my 30s, I couldn't figure out which thing to do. Well, I'm not a specialist. I mean, I'm good at the things that I do, but I'm not a specialist, and that's what I get with you. You kind of just have to decide. And other people can be envious of that, Corey. They can be like, well, with your energy, you have all sorts of abilities. Well, great. Pick where you want to put that energy, and guess what? You're going to get that ability. And other people who can't do that, who have more limitations, as they see you on your ice skates, because, the rest of us are wearing figure skates, or most of the rest of the world will be wearing figure skates and kind of, tripping along on the ice rink. You're going to be wearing speed skates once you apply yourself to learning something. And you'll learn one thing and you'll speed through it, and you'll learn another thing and you'll speed through it. You have to just decide what's important to you and go do that thing with your abilities. And that's not an easy thing, because if we were to tell you, well, you have to do this, then, that might be easier. No, you got to figure it out and just go do it. And you'll pick up whatever it is. If it's intuitive, if it's healing, you'll pick it up really quickly. And then you can learn something else. You'll see the connections between it and another thing. You'll see that connection very quickly. And, you're a good Jack or Jill of all trades, because you you can be a Renaissance person, you know, a Leonardo or a Leonarda. It's up to you. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. I wish I could tell you something more specific. With Joni, it looks really specific. With you, it's like, just pick something, you know, just do it. All right, so I'm going to go up to Amanda. Amanda, can you ask a more specific question about, you know, is this about your path, what I pick up for you? Oh, and Corey, you would be a good archer. You're good at targeting, so you would be a good remote viewer. I'm waiting for Amanda to ask me a little more specifically something. So, the archer joke was not too far off. Hold on. Yeah, if you do things like archery, and if you do things like learn how to target, then your energy will be less scattered. It's the problem of having too many choices, Corey. Then we tend to get scattered when we have too many choices and we don't pick one thing at a time. Okay. Amanda says, what abilities do I see for you? I'm going to look at more of your life path, if that's okay with you, Amanda. Divine High Self, Divine Own Presence, Infinite Spirit, Infinite Consciousness, please clear Amanda and myself for work. Please clear us to the level of love, infinite radiant love in the most optimum level possible. Please clear Amanda's guides and my guides, guardian angels, spiritual protectors, spiritual committee members, all beings of goodness and light. Ooh, Amanda. Ooh. What do you do right now? You have management capabilities, you have nursing and healing capabilities, you have academic capabilities, you have bossiness in a good way, like you can be the boss if you want to be. What are you doing? So I can see if there's anything else. You have a lot of executive abilities. Okay. Yeah, you have just really great executive abilities. Executive director. If you become a nurse, you're going to be the head nurse of a hospital wing. You know, that sort of thing. So keep with that. Okay. Yeah, executive director. Keep with what you're doing, but make sure that you're on the path to become the person who runs the place if you're not the person who runs the place. Okay? That's good. That's good for you. You give people structure. People who don't have structure, you and I have one thing that's together. People who don't have structure, who need it, you provide it for them. And that is... And they may need just enough structure to get themselves in the door to get help. They may need just enough structure to keep coming. They may need just enough structure to get out of program and go live their life. When that structure is needed, it's almost like it comes in like a healing balm. And that's what you do. You do it gently like a healer. You provide just enough structure for them to be able to walk their path. So that's beautiful. I really, really like it. I feel like we're kindred in that path. Okay, I'm going to move on. Gail asks, Elizabeth, I have listened to you and Jane serve people using your gifts. How do you replenish yourself when you're done? Beer. No, I can't drink beer, so it's not beer. James, what do you do?
Beer. No,
beer.
Seriously, and this is one of the things I'm learning through Paisley Town. I take a class in reading, just card reading, and it's really just meditation. You know the places we always joke around, it's called your happy place? Like, go to your happy place. Where is it? By the beach, in the forest, by water, just by yourself in the backyard? What you're doing, you're actually recharging. That's why you like those places. That's why you like your happy place. That that time where you're by yourself and you recharge. Mine is around water, and I live right on the coast, so water's everywhere. So one of the things I do is I can just sit back and meditate and go within, open up, like Elizabeth says, just bringing that bright white light right through my crown chakra down right into me. And then once I kind of fill myself up with all that, I imagine myself storing it and then firing it right through my tailbone into the center of the earth and back up around. And then I picture myself as being a circuit between the center of the earth and the universe. And every time I inhale, light is coming up, meeting inside of me. And when I exhale, it fills me. So I've got the two grounding. And that does me, I can do that and be recharged within about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's almost exactly the same guided meditation or meditation that Joe needs to do that I told him about. He could do it as white light, but you can do it, like for me, when I do it, it's gold light. It's yellow gold light coming in through the top of my head, and it can be white and it can have pink in it too. And then it gets down into the earth, and when it comes back up, as it comes up to me, it becomes green. And so I'm mixing green and gold when I do it. The other thing is I will scan to see if I picked up something from somebody else when I'm working with them. And so if you've heard me talk or on the radio, if I picked up something on the radio. So as you've heard me say, divine high self, infinite spirit, infinite consciousness, please clear name of the person, or please clear me for work. Please clear me to the level of love, the level of infinite radiant love, and the most optimum level possible. What's happening if I've picked up anything is that the divine high self, the infinite spirit, infinite consciousness, is identifying that and clearing that out of my energetic field here on Earth and clearing it to the most optimum level throughout all realities. And when that happens, there's like this little sort of whirligig starts going, and there's kind of happiness, like, oh yeah, there was a little bit of something there and it's not there anymore, and yeah, I'm all right, I can keep going. And my happiness, believe it or not, is sometimes just being on SOR Space Travelers and being punny, like sharing puns and making jokes and teasing people. I grew up in a family of teasers, so I'm often just really happy after my part of the show or during the week, getting on and listening and seeing what people are saying to each other, because you're goofballs.
Yes, we are.
That's yes, you are. So that's kind of what I do. You guys help recharge too through the chat room. But yeah, both James and I do it sounds like a similar meditation. So, okay, Joe has a question for both of us.
Oh, no.
Have you ever remote viewed someone on air and saw something so horrible in that person that you couldn't share it with the listening audience besides me? No.
No.
I haven't.
I don't remote view, so.
Yeah, he doesn't remote view, so, yeah. The only time it's happened is I have a very good friend who... I have a lot of karma with this person, and people talk about the twin flame relationship, and this person is actually probably one of my 4 twin flames. There are 4 twin flames, believe it or not. And he has the propensity to become a serial killer, but he has not done that, and it's really dark. And when I looked at him and I saw that, I said, have you killed anybody? And he said no. And I said, have you thought about it? He said, yes. And I said, are you going to do it? And he said, no. And as far as I know, at this point, that propensity, there's a kind of psychological propensity for it, that kind of evil and an energetic for it. And it's in my frickin' twin flame. There's got to be some polarity thing there. It really peeves me. You know what I'm saying, James? It's like, why?
Well,
Why?
Is it when you say twin flame polarity, is it because there's no way you could possibly do it? Or like you're the polar opposite of him?
We are basically, I mean, I'd be like, I have the big V on my forehead. Nobody come here and do anything. You know, I can, my dad taught me how to take care of myself. He's a really high level black belt. He taught me all sorts of karate. I know all the things. But in terms of do I want to, you know, no, I don't want to hurt anybody. And I have this, and it wouldn't do anything for me, and it wouldn't make me feel powerful to hurt somebody. You know, I feel powerful when I can give them a really good reading and they can go get healed. And so it is almost like this polarity of, it's, what does power mean to you? Is power helping people or empowering other people, or is power taking something from somebody? I am so totally opposite. No, I don't want to take anything from anything. I think the abundance of the universe comes from spirit and you know, just the energy of the universe, from the source energy. So there is no power in trying to get power from something that's here, because that's not source. So yeah, we have a big opposite polarity. But that's the only person that I've ever seen that has been super dark. I had one guy call me from prison once, and he had demonic attachments, and he was trying to tell me why they were so good, and I was like, shut up, you fool. But he wasn't even as dark as my twin flame.
Oh. So James, the twin flame who's out walking around isn't as dark as the demonic guy in prison.
No, the demonic guy in prison isn't as dark as the twin flame who's out walking around. Because the twin flame controlled himself.
Is the twin flame within 1,000 miles of you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not scared of him. No, he won't do anything to me. No, but if somebody threatened to do something to me, he would Dexter them. Yeah, that would be bad. So don't threaten me, because I've got my own built-in Dexter because of the whatever.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
I'm laughing. I'm crying inside. You're just afraid that he's done something, but I check on him every once in a while, so no worries.
Yeah. Was he cruel to small animals? Was he a bedwetter?
No.
And does he have fantasies about fire?
No.
Yeah, right. You can't protect him.
No. But his he did have he did have a parent who was in Vietnam who killed a lot of people as part of his job.
Oh, he was a cook?
Special forces.
Oh, I thought he was like a military cook or something. Okay, just checking.
Yeah. No ptomaine poisoning.
No.
There. Okay,
no.
Robert White. We've got like 3 minutes. Robert White. Elizabeth, this is the first time hearing you. Can you see what I would be best at in the mixed assortment of things I have been teaching myself to do? We talked a little bit last night Robert. Didn't we, about your healing through the internet? So, yeah, I think you'd be a really awesome Reiki master, and I think you should get training, and I don't know if our Keith is, I don't know where you live, but you want to go to a real Reiki master to learn from. Our Keith talks about chakra, so even, I learned in 94 from somebody who was trained by Mrs. Takata, so I'm kind of a real Reiki master because I am actually really old school Usui Reiki. We don't even talk about chakras. We know they're there, but we don't talk about them because she didn't talk about them and the other guys didn't talk about them. But we do the things that our Keith was talking about, like with the feet. I never treat somebody without pulling their energy down through the top of their head, through their feet, and opening up their foot chakras. It's just how I was guided. I didn't need a teacher to tell me. I followed that guidance, and I do that every treatment. You need a good Reiki teacher. If our Keith is teaching, he might be good for you if you're in the same area. I don't know if Dave's wife is teaching. I don't know where you live. But you would be a good teacher. You would be a good teacher of Qigong. You would be a good teacher of Tai Chi, anything to do with energy, because you're very interested in it. But you've been doing a lot of self-teaching, so save up so you can get an actual teacher. That is what I say. I hope that works for you. Because we got like a minute. And Skeeter's coming. And you got to be ready for Skeeter.
Yeah, I hope she looks at her Facebook, because I sent her a message over on Facebook. So, Skeeter, if you're listening.
Joe posted, yeah, Skeeter, come. When Joe posted, people need to start appreciating the effort I put in to not be a serial killer. Thank you, Joe. Fortunately, I haven't seen that darkness in you. So, and then Gail says, Elizabeth, scary people alert with that guy. So I think Gail has looked at him. Robert says, far north Queensland. Okay, well, we'll get on the wire and see who knows who. I would check out the Reiki Alliance. There are quite a few Reiki Alliance people in Australia. So check around and see who feels right. But they should teach you slowly, and you should learn. First degree should take at least a weekend, if not 4 nights in a row. Then you should have a few weeks or a few months, and then learn second. And then you should be able to audit teaching classes and also have a period of time where you're giving treatments and teaching an apprenticeship as a master. And no wham bam thank you ma'am courses for you. You really want to go deeply into it with somebody who is helping you. Okay. And that, I think, sums it up for me.
That was a wonderful sum.
Yeah.
Say goodnight, Ruthie.
1 trillion.
Yep.
1 trillion. 1,000. All right, you guys, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow night with something. And,
thanks, Elizabeth. This is going to be good.
And Skeeter's going to be awesome. Skeeter's, tell them about Skeeter.
I will,
see y'all later.
But later.
Okay.
After I come back,
all right.
After Dave introduces me. Thanks, okay. Elizabeth.
Bye, James. See you later.
Bye-bye. 7-minute stretch. Off you go.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave, and thanks everybody for still hanging around. Really nice show with our Elizabeth Anglin. She will be here with Cosmic Passport every Saturday from 9 till 10, and on Sundays she will probably have a guest on in that first hour and do a little bit more. And what I like about this is this was, like I said, it was my idea, given to me by our friend Jeannie Borgen, that we should be actually teaching people and showing them how to open themselves up and connect, and with all that, protect themselves. And that's what Elizabeth is going to be doing. And I am broadcasting to you from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network here in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast in Cascadia, just up the road from our friends in Washington State, where Skeeter comes from. She has been into the paranormal since she saw her first ghost when she was about 2 years old. It was a dark-haired nurse in an early 50s era nurse's uniform. Since then, Skeeter has experienced many more ghosts and have practiced various forms of divination, including pendulums, cards, and palms, to help her communicate with them better. She began studying various occult practices and religions in high school, which led her to becoming an eclectic hedge witch in her senior year. And that was funny because I read that witch in her senior year, but it should be she became an eclectic hedge witch in her senior year. I think we all had one of those girls in our senior years, if I think back to my school. Skeeter did her first formal investigation back in 1996, and over the past 5 years, over the past 10 years, she has joined several professional paranormal teams in New Mexico and Washington State. And those have all helped her expand her experiences and knowledge base. Now, I met Skeeter at Forest Moon Paracon in Concrete, Washington a few weeks back. She came out with us on a paranormal investigation, and honestly, she was invaluable because that was the investigation where I was watching my recorder actually record, and there was nothing on it. Blank. Nothing. And it was amazing. Skeeter was really good. She also did a reading for me, which was fantastic because she does that too. And I did a reading for her. So it was like playing Battleship back and forth. We were telling each other what was going on, which was very, very nice. Wonderful young lady. And she's going to tell, she is actually a member of the Forest Moon. Did I just say Forest Moon? Yeah, Forest Moon Paranormal. Yeah, I'm thinking Forest Moon. Wasn't it a movie? Forest Moon Paranormal in Washington State. And she was, and as you were, she still is a member of a paranormal team down in New Mexico. And I think it was Purple Sedge or Purple Sage. It's one of those two. I still fumbled over eclectic hedge witch. So, I don't know which hedge she was in, but she's a witch. And here she is. Skeeter, are you still with me, or have you hung up and walked away?
No, I'm still here, James. I didn't run on you yet.
Not yet. Yeah, here we go. Now, did I get that right? You were with you are with Forest Moon Paranormal, and was it Purple Sedge or in New Mexico? Sage. Okay, good. Purple Sage in New Mexico. See, that sounds even like a better movie than Purple Sedge.
Yeah.
And sorry about the eclectic hedge witch. What is a hedge witch?
A hedge witch is the one who used to live on the outskirts of town and do the herbals. She was the one that people would go to for medicines, love potions, advice. She was kind of like an early doctor of sorts. And
Sorcerer?
wise woman who just lived on the outside of town.
Like, do you say an early sorcerer or?
Early doctor.
Doctor. Okay. All right. Gotcha. That's kind of an odd profession to get into in your last year of school.
Well, I had to do something to keep everybody away.
We'd like to ask her out, but every time I do, I turn into a frog. What? Now, in your life growing up, I want to go right back to that first time you saw the nurse in the 50s nurse uniform.
Sure.
Where were you when you experienced that?
I was actually in a clean room after surgery. I was about 2 years old, and they had just removed my right eye. And I was in a clean room while everything settled, I guess. And I was waking up from the anesthesia, and I was very upset. Of course, as a little one, you want your mom and dad. And there was this very nice woman in there who was patting my back and telling me I was okay and everything was good and that my mom and dad were outside waiting for me, that they were just waiting for the doctor to say everything was okay. And she stayed with me the whole time that I was in there, and I just kind of remember falling back asleep because she was, well, that was her goal. She was patting my back and comforting me.
Oh, wow.
But
Now,
I remember her in such detail.
have you seen her since, or that was the first time? Or the only time?
That was the only time I've ever seen her.
Fascinating, Captain. Fascinating, Captain.
Yeah.
And I hate to on you because to me this is something that I find amazing. You go through a trauma at the age of 2, which is a very I want to call it a forgetful age. It's one of the ages, unless it's a trauma, we're not going to remember it. And you went through quite a trauma. You're coming out of anesthetic, and how the heck would you know what a 1950s nurse uniform was? But you're coming out, you've lost your right eye, and you get this experience. That is coming out of a trauma.
Yeah.
What did you do from that point? Like, is that kind of, okay, life went on, I saw the lady, my parents kind of, we talked about it and we moved on? Or is that something you started seeing at that point?
I started seeing at that point. There were many others who came after that. The next one I remember really well, I was probably about 3 or 4. It was just before my brother was born. And it was Christmas time, and there was a man in our house who I thought, being a kid and it's Christmas, I thought it was Santa. And he told me to just go back to bed, not worry about it, that Santa had come. The man, it was an older man, long gray beard. I mean, he looked just like Santa. To this day, I don't know who he was. I know I wasn't asleep because I was up. I was talking to the man, and my dad came out and asked me why I was up so early. And I told him I was out there talking to Santa. And my dad tried to explain. It was like, how do I tell my kid that wasn't Santa without telling her there's no Santa conversation.
Wow.
So it seemed just after her, they all just kind of started coming, one right after the other.
That's interesting. Did you only see them in buildings, or did you ever see them like out and about when you're out in the open?
Out and about too. I did a lot of growing up in Colorado Springs, Durango, Valsito, and in the woods I'd see Native American type people. I'd see old gold miners up around Silverton and
Where's that?
Uray, Colorado.
Colorado? Wow.
Yep.
Now, did they see you? Like, when you see them, if you looked at them, did they just keep on going on with their business, or did they stop and look back at you?
Some of them would acknowledge me, some of them wouldn't. Now in my older years, I understand that the ones who didn't look at me or didn't acknowledge me were probably residual energies, whereas the active or intelligent ones are the ones who would look at me and acknowledge me.
Yeah. They didn't want to go home with you and try to get you to move them over, or, talk your ear off?
Some of them would sit and talk to me. Hospitals, I was in and out of the hospital a lot as a little, and they'd sit and talk to me a lot.
What kind of things would they talk to you about? Would they just would they be asking you questions, or would they be asking for help themselves?
When I was little, they'd be trying to comfort me. They'd be telling me that it was a nice place and don't worry and I'm not alone. As I got older, I started having them ask me if I could see them, which I always thought was a weird question. And if I could help them, or if I would at least listen to them.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So the role switched. At first they were taking care of me, and as I got older, they started asking me for help.
And what kind of help were they looking for?
A lot of times someone to listen, someone to help at least tell someone in the room that they're there. I know I was in the emergency room one time, and there was a young man across from me, and an older woman showed up, and she kept going, tell him he's loved, tell him he's loved, tell him I love him. He's got to know before I go, tell him I love him. And I ended up going over and I said, I apologize, I'm invading your space. I'm a really shy person, so this was really hard for me. But I told him, I said, someone's telling me to tell you that you're loved and that they want you to know that they love you before they go. And he just kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and I felt crazy. But she said, give it a minute. And he walked away, and my boyfriend at the time asked me what I did to him to make him cry, because he was coming back from the cafeteria and saw the guy leave, and the guy, I guess, was crying as he was leaving.
Oh, wow.
So the message did hit, it's just it didn't hit, and I didn't personally get to witness it.
Do you think it was his mom had passed and he was, still
Actually,
just going to...
I think it was a grandmother.
A grandmother? Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. In your time growing up with these spirits around, what was it like in school? What was it like as a teen growing up to have this kind of information popping in and out? Because, and I know from being a paranormal investigator, I'll run into a lot of these beings in schools, in theaters, and places I would go as a teenager. If I was like you seeing them, that would really wreck a movie, or hopefully my math class. But it's I don't know, especially going through that whole peer pressure, and if you're shy anyway, and you've got some kid running around the classroom when you're trying to concentrate. How did you separate that from the physical reality of peers and family?
I actually chose the ghost over peers. I got picked on a lot because I didn't know I could talk to them in my head, so I talked to them out loud.
Oh.
I grew up in the other place where we moved to once we left Valsito, Colorado, was Las Lunas, New Mexico, and Bosque Farms, New Mexico. And there's a lot of history in that area. You've got Buffalo Soldiers, you've got Civil War activity, you've got the Great Pueblo Revolt, you've got tons and tons of history there. And to be quite honest, it got to the point where I had to turn myself off. And turning off to them also meant turning off to everybody. I literally had to just shut down as a human being because it just got so overwhelming sometimes.
How do you turn off?
Lucky for me.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. How do I turn off? I would actually visually put myself in a box and lock the box from the inside. And I would go into like an autopilot zone. It was just literally disconnecting. I'd sit in front of the TV and just let the TV numb me so that I just wouldn't have to think or hear or do anything.
That's
especially
crazy.
When I was younger.
Yeah. I can imagine a lot of people who are kind of the down and out type, or I was looking at a post on Facebook, was it earlier today or yesterday, about had 37 pictures of people in asylums. Most were in there for, acute mania, or what basically translated it in, some were either bipolar or they were depressed. They were all put into an asylum. stuff that you really wouldn't put people in asylums for anymore. But imagine somebody who's kind of down and out, and people say, "Oh, that lady or that guy, he talks to himself and he sees people." And if it overwhelms you to that point, you numb it with alcohol or you numb it with drugs, and your life spirals out of control. And of course, if you're open, then it gets into that whole theory of, if you're walking around open, what else is going to attach itself to you or start coming home with you? That would be a little bit concerning. In your case, you appear to turn out okay. How did you get from the box back out into humanity?
A lot of things. I've been very blessed with very good guides, and I've had amazing people across my path here and there that have very slowly helped me out. I got very lucky in my mid to late 20s and early 30s to finally meet a really great therapist who believed in the paranormal. Wonderful man who helped me not only understand everything that had happened, but how to work with what I have now. And since then, even more teachers have come along.
Nice.
And taught me that I can tell them, I need a timeout, please step back. Basically how to flip the on and the open sign to the close sign.
Yeah.
So that I've got my own space. I've had a couple battles with unwanted spirits that have forced me to either accept what I am or just decide not to be what I am and just go into an asylum where it would be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
I've always joked with my friends, if I go, I want a pink rubber room and a sparkly helmet.
Oh, glitter. My friends who are in burlesque, they always saying, it's always good as long as you have glitter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Oh,
just a lot of really good people crossing my path here and there.
Well, it comes down to you're lucky. You're lucky that you have had those. I see a lot of people who literally are in and out of therapy and in and out of homeless shelters because they don't have the connections, or they didn't bump into those people on their path. Open as open can be, and told by society they're crazy, but I honestly believe that they're just people that don't know how to close and don't know how to shut things off like you did. Or you do, I should say. Over and above the box you locked yourself into. Goodness gracious, man. You don't be doing that anymore.
Oh, no, I don't do that anymore.
Good. What do you do to shut yourself off now?
What I've learned to do is just kind of, when I'm on, it's kind of like I've allowed a light or a door to open around me. And when I'm ready to be off, I just kind of pull that light back in and just imagine closing the door.
Wow.
It's a mental practice. At first it was kind of like, okay, this is stupid. I have to imagine a door, and I have to imagine closing the door, flipping the close sign, just like running a business. Closing out for the day, settling all the old business. I have to admit, now and again, a pushy ghost will get in. Like now and again, they'll come through dreams, or someone will wander into the house and be like, "Hey, I need attention," and I have to tell them to come back when open hours are.
Yeah.
But
I'm sorry, we're closed right now.
For the most part, it works. Yes.
Yeah.
The medium you have reached is unavailable at this time. Please call back at the most.
Please leave your name and number, and we'll call you back.
Exactly.
Now, do you have sensitive people in your family, in your parents and grandparents?
Yes, I do. My dad, who wouldn't admit it for years, is actually a sensitive.
And what does that mean, a sensitive?
That means for me, it means someone who can pick up the energy of someone who's on the other side or a spirit being on a different plane from ours.
Okay, and he's...
My dad is actually, it's not clairvoyant, it's where you can actually smell the dead.
Oh, clairsmelliant.
Yes.
Clairodorant. Yeah, I can't remember. That is one of the real fine-tuned clairs. Like that.
Yes.
That is one of the ones you can't. Like it usually have to go through everything else, and that's the last one you get.
Yep. And that's the
amazing.
only one he has.
Well, that's what he thinks. He's just blocked the other ones out. He's got this clairsmelliant one. And I'm going to get a nasty email from Elizabeth Anglin. It's not clairsmelliant, you hobo.
There it is.
Yeah, it's there already? She did?
Factory.
Oh, Claire. Oh, I'm psychic. I knew that was coming. I still think clairsmelliant works a lot better. Because it makes more sense to people like me. Clairol Factory. Clairol Factory. The Clairol Factory. By Remken. How about your daughter? Is she that way?
Actually, my daughter is a little sensitive, but this isn't meant to sound bad, but thankfully she's not anything like I was at her age.
Oh, it doesn't come out bad. I know exactly what you mean. That you would probably not wish your teen years on anybody.
Oh, no.
No,
No, not at all.
No, that's traumatic. In your life, have you passed? In your life, have you died?
Twice.
And how was that for you?
You know, I don't think I'm going to do it a third time.
Oh, yes, you will. Oh, sorry.
I already got my card stamped twice. I'm done, right?
I don't have to go back, do I? Look, I've been here twice. You wouldn't take me. Next time, find me. I'm leaving. Now, were you really tiny? Was that one of the times that you were like the 2-year-old?
Yeah, when I was the 2-year-old and they were working on removing the cancer, that's when that was the first time.
Okay. Now, how old are you the second time?
The second time, I would have been 27.
Okay. And what do you remember about that, Skeeter?
It was really weird because I was talking to someone, and I actually know who I was talking to. It was a really dear friend of mine named Bill. And Bill's very active. He was a living person at one time in my life. And he passed. He won't tell me how he passed. He just tells me that I died and don't worry about it. But he's always been in my life since then. And I was talking to him, and I was told, it's not time, and you need to go back. And all I remember after that is that it felt like I was swimming. I used to be a lifeguard, and one of the drills that you do as a lifeguard is you swim down to the bottom of the deepest part of the pool. You grab a brick.
That darn black rubber brick.
Yes. I hated that thing. I wanted it to drown.
Damn it.
And that was that feeling. It was, I had something important in my arms, and I was swimming back to the surface. And when I came to, my husband said I took the deepest breath, and I looked like I was surprised, but for me, I thought it was coming up out of the water. And I was really kind of shocked to find myself in the hospital with tubes and people and all sorts of nonsense going on around me.
All sorts of shenanigans. What do you mean I'm dead? I'm fine now. Look, can I go home now?
Exactly.
No, you're dead. You'll have to stay here. Yeah, that'll confuse people. You get the student nurses going, no, I'm sorry, you're dead. It says here right on the chart, you're going to have to stay until the people come up and get you.
Well, luckily I didn't wake up in the morgue, so I was fine.
Yeah. Not too many people in North America wake up in the morgue. Usually South America or some of the dark continent down in Africa will wake up in the morgue. Or in a coffin scratching from the inside out. Like a movie that's on way late at night.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember like going to the light or anything like that, or it was strictly you're talking to somebody and then it was water?
I was pulled aside. I was actually talking to Bill, and he was just explaining. I really wish I could remember the conversation because it was actually important. And it was kind of along the lines that I had to stay here. I had a purpose, and it was really, I needed to stay here. I couldn't go yet.
Fascinating. That's very common. Two of the guys in my motorcycle club both had a jammer heart attack, and they're both the types of heart attacks they had were called the Widowmaker, like massive heart attacks, drop dead, boom. And both of them remember going up above their bodies and looking down at the body, and then someone behind them saying, "Not your time. You have to go back." And they're confused, looking around. And the next thing you know, they're just flying back into their body and hitting it with a thump. And, of course, waking up with the paddles going on them. So, yeah. And both of them who have died have become more sensitive to those on the other side. It's like we're given, okay, let's keep all this stuff over here a secret. But when you die and you cross over briefly and you look around and you go, oh, there is something here after death. It's like the universe says, damn it. Okay, he knows, or he or she knows. Let's not be too particular now. Let him go back and, clean him up. Let him see what's actually out there. Baby steps. Because you look at people like Marianne Morgan, who's died 7 times and knows when she's going to die again. Like on her 7th time, she knew she was going to die riding a horse. And she's riding along. The horse kind of went a little bit sideways. And she said, oh, I remember this. This is me dying. And sure enough, off the horse she went, hit her head, died. And then got better. 7 times. You think you punched your card out? Holy cow. This person's
I don't envy her.
No. It's like, I'm dead again?
I mean, it's funny. You from being 2 to about 12, seeing the dead people didn't bother me. It wasn't until the other kids started making fun of it. But I understood the dead. I never feared death. I've never had a fear of death. A lot of people thought it was always cryptic, but I knew what was on the other side. I knew it wasn't anything that was being preached to me or told to me. I knew it was something very different. After the second time I died, all of a sudden I became aware of the web, as I call it. The point where you transition back over to the other world and you start seeing what you did and how it affected everything. It's the debriefing zone. And that's one of the areas that I specialize in now, is talking to spirits in the debriefing zone. So whatever she's going back for, she's getting more and more training, more and more information.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I'm going to have her back on in a couple of months here and find out. She's the one who wanted to tell me when I was going to die and how. Nearly pooped myself, which isn't how I die, actually. But that is sorry. Good. And like John Connor on one of the chat rooms here, he says, I'm sorry, but if I die and someone approaches me telling me it's not my time and I have to return, I'm going to insist in no uncertain terms that it's my decision and mine alone. I don't know. Good try. John's going, damn it, I'm going. All right. You know, we don't have... one of my favorite movies of all time was called Stairway to Heaven. It's a 1940s British war movie where... I can't remember the actor's name now. David Niven. He's in a Lancaster bomber. He gets his crew to all bail out. He realizes that he doesn't have a parachute, and he says, screw it, I'll just jump. He lands in some bog in France, and the little angel of death is down there with his notepad looking for him. And I said, crap, can't find him. Kind of his first gig, goes back up to heaven, tells God, couldn't find him. But in the meantime, he gets found and rescued, but he's got a spot. He's got to die. He's on the list of dying. And he falls in love and blah, blah, blah. And he ends up going to heaven and faces trial.
Cool.
Yeah, and the big trial is, why should you live? Your spot is open. You have to go. But that was really cool. That was a very cool movie, Stairway to Heaven. And if anyone gets to watch it really late at night, or if you see it on, it's a very cool movie. Lots of really good actors back in the 1940s. And, yeah, anyway, you reminded me of like John's statement about, no, it's my decision. And they're going, your space here, it's occupied by Dave. And Dave is here on time. We unfortunately brought you forward. That was a mistake by the new guy, Colin. Colin will be hearing from this, Colin will be hearing from management that, sorry, John, we brought you forward a little early. You'll have to go back. It's fascinating that you went from spirits. Now, I want to talk to you about what we did up in Concrete, Washington, which is one of the most lovely little and so active of locations. But what took you from, so my tongue doesn't fall out again. See what happens when I spill my tea and don't drink it? What took you from kind of walking through life with spirits to actually going out to people's homes or businesses looking for them?
We had we call it the Apartment F incident. We had I know a lot of people don't believe in demonic, but this was probably the closest to demonic that I've ever seen and experienced. If you don't believe in it, good on ya. If you do, good on ya. But this is definitely one that I will, and the only one that I will mark as demonic. And something, when it went after my family, when it went after my daughter, that mom thing clicks in.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, it did a lot of damage. I was really glad my mother-in-law got to experience, because she thought her son had married a wackadoo until it got her, and then she realized I wasn't the wackadoo. There really was something in the house. But after that experience, after surviving Apartment F, it dawned on me that there's a lot of people out there who are facing their own Apartment F, who need to know that they're not crazy, that there is something there. And I was getting messages to tell people, and I kept going, no, no, no. And it dawned on me after this apartment, I couldn't hide anymore. I needed to step forward. I needed to start sharing what I was. I needed to start understanding more of what I was. So I started finding paranormal groups, and I started talking more, and I started channeling again, and working with a therapist, because I did want to make sure I wasn't crazy. And before I knew it, it all opened up. It was like all of a sudden I went, okay, here I am, I'm ready, let's do this. And they said, great, it's about time, and opened up the door, and it was awesome, and it's amazing, and I love doing what I do now. Even the scary ones don't bother me anymore.
They don't? How do you
No.
How do you get around the attempt and the meaning of these? Well, we'll stick with the scary ones. That's a good one. You get these ones that just they feed. They want to scare you. What do you?
One of the things that I learned from Apartment F is that the scary ones really love getting you wound up.
Mm-hmm.
The more energy they get off of you, the happier they are because they're feeding on that energy. They love anger. They love extreme depression. They love sex. So if you're aroused, they love that because that's another strong emotion. The stronger the emotion they can provoke, the better it is for them. And me, back when I was little, I learned how to put myself in the box. Well, I now have learned to put myself in a different kind of box that it's kind of like, oh, hi, scary thing. How are you today? And they tend to get a little angry at me because I'm not giving them what they want, but I'm able to work with them and figure out, okay, it's just an angry old man who needs to get his story out, and if I just stay calm enough and let him huff and puff, he'll calm down, and we can get through this. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. To me, the frightening part is when I'm doing a paranormal investigation and they say, yeah, we have something going bump upstairs, and it's an old creaky house with the creaky stairs, and you walk upstairs by yourself. I still have that primal fear of the unknown. And I did, even as a policeman, going into, walking across a school field in the middle of the night, not a big deal. Walking across a hayfield under the full moon, sometimes creepy. Walking through a cemetery on a foggy night, creepier. Honestly, but they're all just dirt, and I'm going from point A to point B. The only thing that that's going to hurt me is another human, or in my case, if I trip over something or spill tea on my lap. But but I'm not afraid per se of a spirit energy. Now, the caveat on that, if the spirit energy is on the first door on the left, comes spinning around and shows me a scary clown face, okay, I'm going to poop myself. And if that's what they want to do, they're going to get it from me. I cannot keep myself from doing that, like the jumping when you actually see a face. The voices don't bother me. The voices like, get out or F off and all this other stuff that I've heard, no big deal. They're kind of funny. But to actually, quote unquote, boo, that kind of score, that kind of thing, don't like those guys. Because you got to, it's that fight or flight. You want to punch it, and you realize, okay, I hit the wall because there's nothing there. And that's just me being primal. That goes back to, don't jump out of a dark space because it's fight or flight. And so if I do fight, it's not going to be a strong hit because I'll be passing out on the way down. So that is my concern. Skeeter, that's like, if you're going into those places, at least you might know that the scary guy named Trevor is around the corner, and you get that sense before we get there. Me, on the other hand, I just go walking along going, oh, okay, is it going to jump out now? How about now? How about now? And then I just make it scarier than it really is. And it's some little kid spirit, and we both pee ourselves. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you where was your first paranormal group? Was that down in New Mexico?
That was down in New Mexico.
What did you do for that group? What tools did you bring to that group?
Actually, I didn't tell them I was a medium at first.
So they gave you the small shirts? Oh, sorry.
They gave me the small shirt, yes.
Yeah.
which is good because it made my ego feel better. But then I actually signed on for researcher. That's what I love. In fact, I worked for the state historian's office in New Mexico for a while as a researcher. So I signed on with them as a researcher, and I got to start going out with them a little bit here and there. And I noticed that there were other mediums on the team. And I started talking and channeling with them. And before I knew it, I moved from just researcher to what do you see? What are you picking up? What are you sensing? What is this? Is this something that we need to be concerned with? Can we cross it over? So it was really kind of a neat change. Purple Sage gave me an opportunity to learn how to investigate on a scientific level, and then other teams that I worked with outside of them gave me a chance to explore myself as a medium outside of the scientific realm.
Okay. So you go into these, let's say you're doing research in the state office and you're flipping open books and things. Do you get anything from literature, like an old book? Do you get a vision or anything like that? Because I know, and we'll get into this in a little bit later, but when we were out doing a paranormal investigation, the information that you were getting, just standing there quietly, was amazing. Have you ever got from inanimate objects like an old book or an old diagram or even an old picture of an area?
Yeah, I have. Sitting in the archives, you go through pictures a lot. And I made the mistake the first time of going, God, I wonder whatever happened to this person. And that person suddenly started channeling through me and told me the rest of the story behind the picture and how the picture came about. And I took the information to my boss, and my boss, he's paid by the state. He has to answer to the state. Helped me figure out which books to verify that story, and sure enough, everything that happened in that picture that I channeled through, I didn't tell him I channeled. I told him I just read a blip and I wanted to make sure that it was accurate. But the woman she did lose the little one. That was her last picture with the little one. And she was on her own in that picture. Okay. And everything that was in that picture turned out to be accurate, what she told me.
That's amazing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a picture of Blackbeard, and I want you to tell me where his treasure is that no one can find.
Oh, hell, if I figure that out, I'm not telling. I'm going.
Dead Skeeters tell no tales. That's amazing, though, that you could actually pick that stuff up. Now,
it's a lot of fun, but that's why I can't go into antique shops.
Yes, I've heard that about antique shops, that there was just so many different energies attached to an object over, let's say, 100 years. It's gone through numerous people in a family or numerous owners. Exactly what can be the most frightening thing you'd run into in an antique store? Can an inanimate object be haunted by a spirit? Or do they... Okay. Now, do they attach themselves, or they do... Like, I've got a gramophone. Does it just stand beside the gramophone because it liked the gramophone, and wherever the gramophone goes, that's where the spirit goes?
I've had a couple of experiences on different levels. I've got a pair of old boots from my great-great-grandmother, and it's just an energy. It's a residual energy of a very good person who loved those boots. They were for the time period and what they did, those were a luxury. So there's a lot of pride attached to them. Another entity that I ran into was a doorknob. I was going to be doing a doorknob arts and crafts project. So I went out and I brought a bunch of antique doorknobs. And there was one doorknob in particular, a black one. It had originally been green and it had been painted a couple times, but the top color was black. And this thing, it had, please don't bash me for this, but it had a cold spot around it.
Oh, yeah.
It was just really wicked. And you asked earlier if any of my family was sensitive, and there are actually quite a few members in my family who are. And an aunt of mine stayed in our home while I was away at college, and I had left the doorknob behind. And she asked to be moved out of my room, not knowing that the doorknob was there, but she described the same man that I saw attached to the doorknob. And my mom got back to me and said, your aunt says your room is haunted. What did you do?
Wow.
Like, I didn't do anything. What is she seeing? And once I got home, I realized, it was the doorknob, and I had to get rid of it. But he was an angry individual.
Yeah.
And he just had to be... I sold him on eBay.
You sold him on eBay. You swine. So some little teenage kid living in Philadelphia who collects doorknobs.
Now has him.
Yeah. I don't know why. As soon as we got this doorknob, I got angry and killed my parents. That's Skeeter. No problem. She just sold you an evil man on eBay. Way to go, Skeets.
I blessed it first.
Oh, you blessed it. Well, you said that. I've got 1, 2, 3. I have 3 World War II rifles. One was it's a German Mauser, and it was made in the late 30s, about 1939. It was captured by the Russians, so they're called Russian captures. It was captured in around 1941 to 42 by the Russians. I own this, so when I got it, I used Palo Santo wood and meditated on this thing and cleaned the heck out of it spiritually. I then have a Russian semi-automatic called an SV40. Did the same thing on that, and a Lee Enfield rifle. Did the same thing on that, because I just don't want, something that was, the Russians captured it off a bunch of Nazis who were exterminating people in Poland. I don't need that weapon in my house with all that crap on it, because basically it's a target rifle now. It's just old and antique, but I will clean the heck out of an antique. Anything to do with, or anything related to the death of another person.
Yeah. No, you got to be careful with stuff like that, because you never know what's attached. You never know. I mean, even if it's just an emotion attached, it can wreak havoc on you if you're not used to that kind of thing or expecting that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's it's like in the mounted police. If you shoot somebody, your gun goes off to the armory, and it goes off for ballistic tests and the whole bit. And if you shot somebody and actually killed them, do I really want that gun back? It's kind of a weird, it's not like, I'm going to put notches in it because the old cowboy thing, because it's very cool. I got to kill somebody. It's like, nah, that's a machine that I had to use to put somebody down that was trying to kill me or someone else. So the energy, even that I was using it properly, I was an instrument used to actually take another human being's life. That gun now freaks me out.
Yeah.
And, I've met...
think about it. There was a lot of emotion behind that, even as a trained official, there's a lot of emotion going into that moment.
Oh, it builds up for that moment.
And energy gets
and
stored.
That emotion doesn't come down for a long time because you're investigated immediately for homicide and you're pulled off the road. It's not like TV where you shoot up a bar and then go for a beer. And
exactly.
Yeah, it is very, very traumatic for both, the person who pulled the trigger, the family of the other person, any witnesses. It's in Canada, we fill out paperwork. If I point my gun at another human being, that's deadly force. That stresses the other human to the point where they will literally poop themselves. That's a lot of stress to put on somebody, and that can result in a post-traumatic stress and a whole bunch of other things. So you're very, very cautious about actually even showing somebody a gun when you take it out of your holster. Yeah. I used to walk up with it behind my back, but it was in my hand. But, it's a different culture. It's a different culture. People aren't used to guns being pointed at them here. Not that you guys are, because that would just be silly.
I don't know.
You don't know. Even, and let's keep it that way. We shouldn't be pointing guns at anybody.
No,
because they're really loud if they go off.
They're a little loud.
They're a little loud. No, they're a lot loud. I tell you. It's we're in training and we had to shoot an MP5 9mm machine pistol in a car without ear protection, just so we would know what it sounded like when we actually had to do it, and we wouldn't drop the gun going, my God, that was loud. We had to shoot it out the windows. Yeah, you don't want to do that. That they don't do that anymore because it's it deafens you basically. And too many guys 5 years later were saying, "Yeah, I'm hard of hearing, and now you owe me an extra $700 a month for my Veterans Affairs pension for making me deaf." Hey, hold on, that's a good idea. Okay, Skeeter. We're going to come back with more from Skeeter, and we got some news about Skeeter showing up on 2 mediums and a large. Skeeter's going to do some juggling and some acrobatic work, and we're going to talk about some of her readings that she did while she and Dave and I and a few other people were out at a paranormal investigation in Concrete, Washington. Be back with more. Well, let's see. Should we go? Yes, Skeeter. I think we should go. Another 7-minute break. Everybody stand up and hug your partner.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large. Heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings. No matter where you are, it's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave, and welcome back, everybody. We are with Skeeter Welhouse. She is a paranormal investigator, a psychic medium, and much, much more. One of the questions we had come in from the chat room on Spreaker is from our good friend Galen Chauncey. Now, Galen was wondering if you had any encounters with any shadow men, or what Galen calls the dark ones. And Galen was saying she noticed that they actually... These entities actually hunt ghosts.
I have seen shadow men quite a bit. In fact, those seem to be kind of a normal thing for me now, since the Apartment F incident. As for the really dark ones, I have seen a dark entity around the Los Lunas, Bosque Farms area, who absorbed other entities. I don't know if it was for sure eating them. I didn't ask, hey, are you eating the others? But he was absorbing them into himself.
So,
and
painting...
it was not positive.
Okay, just paint that picture for us in words if you can. Describe what the dark entity looked like.
If any of you have ever seen the movie Spirited Away and know the character No Face, kind of this, before he absorbed the frog dude, when he first appeared to the little girl, just this kind of tall, massive, and I can't see if you could see through him, but it was this dark, shadowy figure.
Oh, was it like a human figure?
No, it wasn't really human. It was just kind of almost like a blob that wanted to be human. I'm trying to... Let me think of a human that's been rounded out a lot. Not fat, just all the detail has been rounded out a lot.
Okay.
And you can't really determine where the legs are exactly, but you can tell there's definitely leg movement. You just can't tell.
Okay.
I don't want to sound cliche, but it's almost like he's under a sheet or in a cloak.
All right. Now, the being or the energy that it absorbed, describe that.
It was a Civil War guy. This is out on where I saw him was out on the mesa. West of Los Lunas, and it's an area known for fires. You see fires out there at night, and he was just out there moving through, and you'd see these individuals around the fires, or where you think you saw the fires, moving, and he'd move over to them and absorb them.
Oh, like kind of walk up right over top of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So not like sucking through his face or something, or picking them up, just walking over top of them.
Gobble them. It's just kind of like moving on top, like Jello sliding over something.
Now, you don't... now, you can't tell if that the Civil War soldier was residual or spirit energy, correct?
I don't believe that one was residual.
Oh.
But there were a lot of residuals out there. That's why the lights come out up there. It was a Civil War encampment of buffalo soldiers who were out in that part of the mesa when they were ambushed by the natives.
Okay.
And, at night, if you go out into that area, you'll see what looks like campfires.
Or maybe you'll see what looks like campfires. Or do you get that? Is it only sensitive people who might see that, or is that everyone sees it?
No, that's anyone can see them at night. In
Okay.
fact, I was going out there because I had heard the stories from others, and I went out to go see if they were true.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Galen was saying she was at a... the shadow men seem to follow ghost children rather than the alive ones. And she's been warned, but the dark ones were different. Ghosts warned her of the dark ones, and she spent 2 hours in an investigation, got 26 EVPs, and warned her of those dark beings. That's interesting. And
the only thing I could say about that is if the one I saw wasn't residual, he was wandering around, I would wonder if maybe these guys are tied to death, if there's some kind of reaper or something. And that's why she's been warned to be careful of them.
oh, so they're kind of been sent down. Okay, look, it's your time. You've been here 100 years, and this is the new way. This is another way of opening the light, so you could move them on.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why another entity would eat another entity. That doesn't make sense. But if it's collecting them,
Yeah.
and that would make sense for why it would go after children, because children tend to not really know that they're dead. A lot of times they're waiting for their parents or some family member to tell them it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if one of these was to go after a child energy to say, hey, it's time, that would make sense. I'd love to know more of what she thinks about it.
Yeah, she wrote about them a while ago, and if you go to her website, afterlifegoeson.com, afterlifegoeson.com, you'll get redirected to the Ghost Hunters of Virginia. But, yeah, go to that site and see what she was writing about these things. But that's something, as a paranormal investigator, with abilities like you and Galen have, maybe that's a whole other way, a whole other subject to start paying a little bit of attention to. Yeah, that was... Yeah, that's very interesting. Now, when we were, and this is one of the things, this is where I first met you, was up at the Force Moon Paranormal, excuse me, my tongue fell off. Force Moon Paranormal Paracon in Concrete, Washington a few weeks ago with Eric Cooper and the crowd there. And you came out with us to the Hub Tavern, and where we had, through Christina George, had encountered some interesting little entities the day before. Unfortunately, it was so late that Saturday night. Well, I shouldn't say Saturday night. It was about Sunday morning at 2 a.m. we started. So Christina and Mike Morin from the Canadian Paranormal Society couldn't make it, but we did have actually a couple of listeners from of Spaced Out Radio who lived in the area, and Dave Scott and I, and you were there. I'm thinking, who else would have been there? Oh, heck, that might have been it. And we had some specific questions. Now, you were very quiet, but I would ask a question, and I could look at you, and you would nod like yes or no. Were you hearing the answers, obviously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
Now, what's frustrating is FOG Paranormal, they wanted to get the EVPs and find out what I had on the audio, but the whole thing was gone.
You're kidding.
No, the entire thing, nothing recorded. Even though I was watching the little meter going up, and the light was on and the whole bit, nothing recorded. It was like...
Oh, you're kidding.
No. So guess who's coming back? We're going to bring down a crowd this time. We're going to have our IR lights probably fill the place with recorders, camera systems, the whole bit. And yes, I'm going to phone you. And you'll have to stay up late again. So
That's okay.
That's okay. And we're going to get the FOGs and Eric down there. We're going to tie that place up with a bow. Because we had two entities that wanted to cross over out of the four we encountered. We had the lady from the turn of the century, the first one. And then we had the other, Elizabeth or Lizzie, which is really odd. I have been researching death records for the Skagit County area of Washington State, going back as far as I can go. And this lady was described as looking like she had passed maybe 10 years ago max because of the clothing she was wearing. Unfortunately, I can't find anybody who died. And I mean, I tried, maybe she was in an accident and taken to Bellingham or taken to Seattle and died in hospital. Nobody with Elizabeth, who is in her late 20s. A lot of Elizabeths who died in their 70s and 80s, but nobody fitting that description. What I'm thinking of having to do next is I'm going to have to research missing people because there's no death record of this person.
Yeah, and for me, Lizzie wasn't even of our time period.
Oh, really?
Lizzie I saw was probably, I'd say, for that area, it would have been early 1900s.
Okay. See, now...
Because she was still doing Victorian wear, but for our area at that time period, that would have still been even 1920s, 1930s.
Okay. Now, was she the first or the second? Or the first lady we talked to was wearing turn of the century clothing, correct?
Yeah.
That wasn't Lizzie.
That wasn't Lizzie.
No. Lizzie, we went down, just so the listener realizes, we had this Lizzie come through. Christina George picked her up the day before, walking through a wall from the theater next door. And then we were out on a ghost walk, and the group that was giving the ghost walk said, we encountered a girl named Elizabeth or Lizzie in the theater, and she's kind of hiding out there. Well, when we did our paranormal investigation, basically 2 nights later, Lizzie showed up down near the end of the bar, and both you and Dave Scott said she was upstairs and then came down. She was the one we talked to just before we talked to the young miner logger-looking guy.
Yep.
So there was the turn-of-the-century lady, the guy who didn't like us being there, who was behind the bar. We got no information on him. And then it was Lizzie. Do you remember that now?
Yeah.
But that Lizzie's...
first girl, I don't remember very much because she was channeling directly through me. That's why when you asked me at the end of it to tell you, to tell the bar girl about her, I just kind of gave you a blank stare, and I still can't really remember her. I just know she spoke. So whatever came through me on her, she did that herself. She
was the one coming. You actually looked at me and nodded, and you gave like the Ripley hands indicating it was a woman with a woman's figure.
Yeah.
And I would ask, are you, from the turn of the century, or are you so-and-so? I tried to get a name. You didn't get a name. Yeah, that was a hard one. We get a little bit around that, but I'm wondering if in fact you channeled this person and that's the one you remembered as being Lizzie. Now, because Lizzie did come in later, you remember thinking that...
Now, I remember Lizzie.
But you see her as being turn of the century.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? That makes a lot more sense then. How old do you have her?
I had her probably 20s.
Okay. I can look back. Again, it's... it's a lot harder, but to get the death records going back that far, there was an Elizabeth or Lizzie in that area, but she died at the age of 72.
Oh, wow.
In concrete. But, yeah, that's a long time. But it gives us something to dig up anyway, something to research.
Yeah. That's some research before we go out again.
Now, we got to the last guy. We were looking for the guy we call the creeper. The creeper was somebody who would follow the ladies into the bathroom, stand over top of them while they went pee. And he was described to me as a specific person. The person that we encountered was a lot younger and shorter than the creeper, but kind of occupied the same area. And the creeper is very, very grumpy. I think the creeper is the guy we had behind the bar. The bit of an ass. Do you recall what he looked like at all?
The older guy behind the bar, or the young guy?
The older guy behind the bar.
The older guy behind the bar, he really wanted to stay in shadow form. I did see an older gentleman. I'm trying to remember the actor he kind of looks like. But anyways, big, older, grouchy, salt and pepper hair.
A beard or clean shaven?
Scruffy, but not a beard.
Okay. Because the creeper was described as short, dark hair, kind of a beard, big guy, looked like a logger or a miner, but grumpy, like 6+ feet tall, and just a real ass. Would fit with the guy behind the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the creeper, because he didn't want... When we came in there the first night, he basically told Mike to get the heck out of there. And that's where Mike identified him and told us what he looked like. Now, the next fellow we ran into, I was amazed that I asked him what was the last year you remembered. Now, this tavern was built in 1923. The last year he remembered, and this is you giving me hand signs, was 1882.
Yeah.
And which is amazing. And I think didn't he say that he was 22 years old? 23 or 22? Yeah. So we got a young guy in there, and he liked it. We asked if he wanted to cross over. Actually, the two women spirits we contacted, both through Skeeter, said, yeah, we'd like to cross. So perfect. We're going to come back in. We're going to get you out of there. The idiot behind the bar, screw you. You can hang out behind the bar all you want. And then we asked the young guy, no, I'm good here. I'm happy here. Now imagine a guy, 22 years old, the last year he remembers is 1882. He's in a bar, and since he's been hanging out there, it's been filled with, well, it was a gentleman's club for a while, so just grumpy old guys. But holy cow, there's a ton of girls in there. He's been listening to music from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. It's amazing this guy, he's having the time of his death. He's having a great time. Why leave? I'm having a good time.
Yeah. I remember him. He really loved the women. He loved all the women who came in and out. He loved the music. He loved all the activity. For him, it was, why cross over? He was already where he wanted to be.
Yeah, to him it was heaven. That's funny. Okay. We could probably get him... You know what? We should ask him to come along next time. I know some really good clubs we could take him to.
I bet you he would take you up on the offer. Except that they're girly clubs.
Yeah. We're going to hit up a couple of strip bars, buddy, and we're going to take you to some great big monstrous... Yeah, we'll take him to a rave. No, I don't want to kill the kid.
Oh, I don't know if he'd
No.
go for a rave, but he might go for the girl clubs.
Yeah, that's funny. But it was kind of cute. Yep, I'm good here. And that's unfortunate because it's kind of... It's not unfortunate. At least it will be something we can take other paranormal groups to. At least he'll come forward and at least have a talk with us anyway. We get to know him a little bit better. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, I'm sorry. Christina George just got online here, and I'm just telling her where the show is going to be. Archive Tube over to YouTube, iTunes, and she wants to listen to the show because we were talking about you, Christina. When you go through a town like Concrete, now kind of we explained it, Dave and I, right after the event down there, but explain the energy in that community compared to most. Now, just so that people can get used to it or understand it, it's got like 2 rivers and a power plant, like a hydroelectric dam, all within
it's got a
couple of miles. It's just built on built on quartz, so it's just an energy reservoir there. What is it like for you to walk through that town?
I'm never lonely. That's for sure. It's really neat because when you walk into a town like that, you do have spirits who automatically recognize that you can see them, you can hear them, that you can interact with them. And there was one in particular when we started the tour way down at the bottom of the hill, and he was busy telling me about the town, about, this is what we did here, and, it's a really great town. They've been trying to preserve it, and look at this building, and, this used to be the auto mechanic, and he was really good, and, I got to know the town through him.
So
then there's...
When we were on the ghost tour, you were on the ghost tour.
Yeah, I was on the ghost tour while you guys were on the ghost tour.
Yeah, heck, you had the real thing. Dang.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I looked like I wasn't paying attention to you guys most of the time. I was paying attention to other people. So it was kind of like, oh, yeah, and I know Dave was trying to talk to me, but I was trying to listen to Dave and others at the same time as they were pointing out neat little things. There was a gentleman who caught the group and was telling us that he had stories for us, and a young man stepped forward from the building that he had just pulled away from and said, oh yeah, he's got stories for you. I just moved their furniture.
But why? Why did you move the furniture? Just to wind him up?
Because they asked him to.
Oh, right. That's right. That's what the kid was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, they asked for a sign, then he gave it to them.
That was cool. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So that is just an amazing town to go to. I'd love to go back there. I want to go back to Port Angeles, Washington. Very cool town, right on the coast. Big tides moving through there. Huge energy. Fort Worden, old U.S. Army fort from 1905 to 1953. Lots of people lost their lives at that fort who were shipped home from World War I with the Spanish flu. So very active spiritually, and and anybody can go there because it's a state park. And wonderful experience there. And downtown Port Angeles, just crazy. A lot of the West Coast, a lot of up the Pacific Northwest, very good places if you want to go poke around for energy, because we're on the coast. There's a lot of flowing motion and a lot of rivers coming down from the Cascade Mountains, creating energy. So a great place to go. And if you're up in Concrete, well, first of all, what the hell are you doing up in Concrete? But if you are up in Concrete, it's a hotbed for dead people to come out and want to talk to you. One of the other things that Eric Cooper was telling us about concrete, and it's also a place where there's a lot of cryptid activity, a lot of Bigfoot sightings, a lot of UFO sightings. In your experience, have you ever run into anything that you would or you would translate as being a cryptid, a Bigfoot, or have you had any experience with what we would call an extraterrestrial?
Yes, and yes.
Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so what did you see? What did you see? Come on, tell me. What did you see?
When I was little and we were still living in Valsito, Colorado, it was actually my grandma who reminded me of it. I had a playmate, the Monkey Man, and it was Bigfoot, and I would make beds in the rocks out of moss and leave things for the Monkey Man, and the Monkey Man would take them and leave things for me. And we did coon hunts, so we had the coon hounds, and whenever the Monkey Man came around, the hounds would get quiet, which was rare because anyone out there has coon hounds, you know they're always, at least one of them is always barking. And you got to realize I was up in the Rockies. I was at the base of the Continental Divide trail that starts there in Valsito and goes across the top of the Rockies. That was my playground as a little kid, and the Monkey Man, I don't know if it's because my parents trusted me or were hoping I'd get lost and not come back, but I'd wander around the Rockies, climbing the mountains and climbing trees and exploring caves and what I called puddle hopping, where I'd follow a stream or a river down and then wander back up. And he was always around watching me. So for me, it was a very positive experience.
That's wonderful. What color could you describe this Monkey Man?
He was taller than the swing set. So the swing set was probably 7 feet, so he was just a bit taller than it. Brownish black fur. His face, if you've ever seen the terracotta sun statues,
yep,
with the big lips and the wide nose, that's his face.
Oh. Interesting. Now, how long did this Monkey Man hang out with you? Like, was he there back and forth for years, or was this like one summer?
It was a couple of summers, 2 summers that I can remember clearly.
Was there any communication?
If there was, it was strictly telekinetic. It was, don't go here, don't do that. Kind of like a Bigfoot nanny.
Okay. And there was only the one. You didn't see a family or little ones, or...
If there was more than one, I didn't see them. It was just mostly the one that I saw.
Amazing. How about... Now, that was down south, but when you came up to the Pacific Northwest, anything up in there?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
I've been told that they're really active up here, and I don't know if I just haven't been in the right place yet. But I'm looking forward to seeing if they're up here and seeing if I can recreate what I had in Colorado.
Yeah. Where's Mason County, Washington, compared to where you are?
I'm down in King County. I'm smack dab in between Tacoma and Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a bit of forest, but it's not anything like up there.
Okay, because I'm wondering, because that's where there's a 52-year-old lady up there, Nancy Hogarth, was saying that she was told a Bigfoot tracker that she's she had a sexual relationship with one since 2008, and they were trying to start a family, but lives up in Mason County, Washington. She first encountered him when she was tending to her marijuana grow, and he was eating the buds off her plants. So I don't know. It was
cool.
Yeah. So I don't know who is. Anyway, I better not go there. So, just checking, just in case she was in your neighborhood, you can go and visit Nancy and see what was going on. Now, the extraterrestrial side, what the heck? And when did this start for you?
The first time I saw one, I'm from the Albuquerque area. Albuquerque has Sandia National Labs, Los Alamos, a lot of Air Force stuff like that. And you get the little triangular lights in the skies, and everyone's always telling you this, that, or the other thing. But the first real experience I had, I was on a back road from Albuquerque through the Sandia Mountains coming into a little town called Madrid. And there was a curve, and there were a bunch of cars pulled over. And I pulled over with them, and I'm looking to see is there a car accident, what? And all of a sudden, above us, there's this black boomerang. It's probably as long as my car was. And it's boomerang shaped. It's very thin. And it's got a big black ball in the center. And it's just coming straight at us. And then it stops, and it's like someone put a pencil through one of the wings, and it flips, turns, and goes right back the way it came. And I tried to get a picture of it, and all I got was a blur on my camera. It just wasn't fast enough. And everybody's going, did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, I bet it was the government or something. And my dad worked for the military at the time, and I went home, and I'm like, Dad, you gotta... And my father, who had a job where I couldn't ask him, what do you do, just looked at me and goes, oh, I'm willing to bet whatever it wasn't man-made. And then just walked off, and I'm like...
Dad, you can't leave me like this.
Can you elaborate?
Can you elaborate, Father? Oh, my gosh. So it was you saw your first UFO when you were at home. Have you actually seen a walking, talking visitor?
I haven't, at least not. To be real honest, after Concrete, when I was going up to Concrete, I saw 5 flashing lights. And I kept asking everybody, what's going on with the lights up here? And everyone kept going, oh, that's just the spaceship. And I'm like, whatever. Here recently, I had a really, really bizarre dream. And it was so real, I can't say it wasn't real. I've asked Dave, I've asked Eric, I've asked a couple others who I know are more into the terrestrials than I am, to see if maybe these guys may have done it. So I can't say for sure that I've seen them. Mm-hmm. But I got a feeling I'm on their radar now.
Yeah.
Not intentionally.
Well, you did a reading for me, and you started sketching, and you pushed this little sketch towards me and said, oh, by the way, this is kind of what you really are. And it was a little alien being thing.
Yes, the cocoon. The penguin. Pengu. That's what we named it. Pengu.
Pengu? Yeah. I had a reading from Joanna who said, it's not that little. It's standing in front of me right now. And she described it as being very tall and blue and gangly arms, which almost sounds like me in real life anyway. But I had never connected myself with being that way. Now, when you do readings, do you get this often where when you're doing a reading for somebody, something like that will come through?
No.
Drat.
No, you're one of the first ones that I saw that.
In the last little while doing your readings, are you kind of getting more, like you say, I'm one of the first ones. Has this just started recently where you're getting a little more of these ETs coming through?
Yeah. I'm starting to get a couple more ETs coming through, and I'm having to admit I'm having to pay attention to them now.
Have you had a change?
It's definitely a different energy.
Okay. Have you had a change in one of your guides lately?
I don't know if it's a change of guides as it is I'm being upgraded is what I think is happening.
Okay.
When you did your reading for me, you said something was about to open up.
Yeah.
And I had another reading after you, and the person also told me something big was coming. And recently I was at the Port Gamble Rose Conference, and it was dead, but I had one individual get a reading from me. And I'm not going to give away too much out of respect for the client, but this person was not of this world, and they are a transcending master. If anybody is wondering what that means, for those of us who believe in reincarnation, or that we come back to learn, that we leave this plane, we go back to the other plane, we get reset up, and then we come back to this plane to learn lessons. He's at the end of that journey. He's going on to wherever the masters go. And the cards, when I was laying out the cards for him, I just kept going, you're kidding, you're kidding, you're kidding. But Spirit was going, no, finish reading because we're telling you this. And I've met, and he was not of this world. And he is a transcending master. He's going back to where this all started.
Wow. That's interesting because not only your connection with this guy or your interaction with this person out of the blue, but a number of really good psychic mediums are now, and I think we discussed this last week, but Joanna has, for the last year that she's been here, she's been really good in reading about, like when Uncle Bob comes through, it's a very good reading, or your grandfather comes through and it's a very good reading, but now she's getting extraterrestrials coming through, which is like a new, like an upgrade, like you're saying. And I read for her a while ago. I'm talking about maybe 3-4 months ago. I read for her and I saw an upgrade. Same as you, like it comes to me as an ascension. I didn't know anything about this. She ends up getting a new guide, and he's an ET, and he's saying, yeah, this person, that this experience was a cryptid. It was a Bigfoot. Yes, this hair came from a Sasquatch. Yes, what this person saw was a alien, and this is the type of being it was. She is to the point now where, and for the listener, Joanna's only going to be on now in 2 mediums and a large once a month, one show out of the 2. She will be coming on with her own show, similar to what we had her 3-hour show, where she'll be talking about this change in direction. But she won't be doing the, what's coming through or where am I going and that kind of thing. Because she shifted, and this shift, and along with a number of other very, very good psychic mediums, has moved from, we'll call it the spirit realm, and they're in a shift into our space friends. But it's and that is fascinating. It's like, okay, over the last 10 years, through ghost hunting shows and whatever else is on Discovery Channel and the History Channel, and people understanding and becoming more sensitive and aware to the other side of the veil, to our spirit friends, it's like someone's now is up the ante, and the universe has said, okay, X percentage of the population of Earth is now agreed this exists. Now we're going to click the switch. We need X percentage to believe these exist before something is going to happen. I think it's the baby steps that they're giving us, so it doesn't, somebody doesn't show up on the White House lawn tomorrow and freak everybody out. Because remember,
no, that makes sense.
No matter how many people want disclosure, you could say there's 500,000 people want disclosure. There's 330 million people in North America. So
exactly.
Don't be talking for the majority. It may freak out 3-4 million people, but that 500,000 are no problem, ready to go. But that's the scary part, and that's what I think is happening. And Dave Scott and I are in a position where we have communication with a number of different groups and different psychics from all over the world, and they're all telling us individually the same thing. And again, I'm interested in your ascension and how you're getting now more of the extraterrestrial coming through. And that's amazing. I had Jeannie Borgen on for a show, and I ended up keeping her on for an extra hour because over and above her psychic investigator work for finding homicide victims and missing people, on one of the breaks she says, "Hey, so what do you believe about aliens?" And I said, "I haven't seen one yet, but I'm open." And she said, "Well, this is what happened." And we brought it on for the last hour, where she had been going down to California to a place outside of Palm Springs, a place called the Big Rock, where she had been taken on a ship, and she had met a bunch of light beings who had cured a friend of hers, who's a police investigator, a detective, cured her liver cancer. And the payment was that this detective had to go to a hospital, and there were 4 children in that hospital that were dying, and they taught the detective how to cure, an energy cure, these 4 children, and that was so they let her live. They cured her cancer and sent her down to cure these children, and that's how it worked. And I'm taken aback because I know of Jeannie's background with police, all her work with government agencies. She actually did work for the federal government as a psychic until somebody came in and freaked out that she was working there, and they had psychics working for the government and with a very security conscious part of the government, and they were all laid off. But so she's got a really good pedigree, a really good resume. And when she says, I went down, I met a guy who said I had to go to this location and take this person there. We had to be there for 7 days and she'd be cured. I went on a spaceship the size of whatever. And if someone says, well, do you believe her? And I said, I would believe anything that Jeannie tells me because of her background. There's no need for her to make this up. And that's the other thing, Skeeter, is what would be the purpose of making something like that up? Because you only open yourself up for ridicule. There's no advantage to it. It's like someone coming out of the bush saying,
say it.
"Yeah, I was Elizabeth Anglin saying I was an abductee." What's the advantage of saying that? You'd probably just want to keep your yap shut so you don't get thrown in the fancy room with all the people suffering from acute mania. So
With the self-hugging coat.
Yeah, with the self-hugging coat. Oh, it's so nice. It's yeah, it's what I want to see is going to be going on with you, and that's going to be an interesting journey with you, because you are coming on a little more now with us, and tomorrow night you're going to be taking Joanna's spot and taking calls and doing readings. So what do you feel about that?
I think that's interesting that she's stepping out because she's there, and I'm stepping in because I'm starting.
Yeah.
That's kind of an odd little twist now that you've pointed it out.
Yeah, she's at a point now where she says it's coming so fast through her guide, who she calls Rob, and she's not being able to filter it. It's like I was doing a reading tonight, and I described it. A guide was kind of controlling the information as it came in, like sand going down into a hourglass. The information is coming down, and it's always been going through that little thin opening for Joanna, but now it's like somebody's broken it open and it's pouring in, and she's not handling the information coming in. So when she does readings for people, it's like a floodgate opening up, and of course she almost channels it, so she's trying to verbalize what's coming through as quickly as she can, and she's now just taking a step back to work on slowing it down, trying to get on the same page as her guide, because the information's coming way too fast.
When I was channeling for Dave in the bar before we did the investigation.
No, I don't.
And I was doing pictures.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
It was coming so fast, I couldn't put words to it. All I could do was draw it.
Oh, that's amazing.
I mean, I had to give up control of my body so that it could just write whatever it wanted to tell Dave.
Do you know?
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, and if that's something new and it's coming faster, you may get into that situation too, where you really, you probably have a better control over it than Joanna does, because heck, you've got 2 ribbons for dying. Joanna hasn't died, so you may be able to kind of slow this down, but you've got to be conscious of it. One of the questions that are coming in from a chat room here is there a defined name to the ability to see energy domes over properties or homes? If something is going on, such as spirit activity or other living stuff, or is that termed as bad, or a dome of different colors? Have you ever seen a dome over a property?
I haven't seen a dome over a property.
It's like an energy.
I have seen like an energy field around the home. More often than not, I feel the energy wave coming off of the home. And there are certain homes I've been picked on because I'll walk up to a house and I'll be like, nope. They're like, oh, come on. And I'm like, nope. You can't pay me? Nope.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I get the... As a policeman, because I'd have to go to places. And a lot of the places I go to are negative because, heck, they wouldn't have called if they weren't negative. So I will go in, and you can feel it before you get there. And that's when you start walking slower, you control your breath, your spidey senses start tingling. You might call for backup. You might just stay in the car. You might just stay outside and wait for somebody to come out and meet you. But there's a whole bunch of things that run through your mind of, why am I feeling this? And then there's those other times when you walk up to a door and you get that weird feeling, but you want to walk down the hall, turn left, and stand in the hallway because you feel that you're supposed to go there to see something. And you're kind of like, well, hi, do you mind if I come in? No, please. And when they say, yeah, step in the door, I just keep going. Because I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go as far as I can before he says, hey, no, come back here. I didn't say you could search the house. Oh, too late. Too late. There's blood all over there. Did you cut yourself? And whose hand is that laying outside the door? But it's like you've been told to go in.
Yeah.
And there's places I swear you're told not to go to. Whether it's just not my time to find what's there, or it's not my path to encounter what I'm going to encounter. It's very, very interesting. I could go on. I could go on about a serial killer and what we did dealing with him, and the what ifs of why didn't we continue the investigation on. So it'll be interesting. To start looking at these things with a different eye now, Skeeter, as we move in. And what's really cool is that we're gonna be grabbing you, kicking and screaming, and drag you along with us. Especially any of the paranormal investigations that we're going to be doing up at your neck of the woods. My crew, Canadian Paranormal, is out right now in an investigation. So they did it on the weekend when I'm doing this. And Dave Scott and I and the Canadian Paranormal Investigative Group is heading up to 108 Mile House on the 19th for a charity function, I believe, at a museum there. I'm not quite sure if it's charity or not. So I will not be on the 19th. You're stuck with the marvelous Elizabeth Anglin. And she will be running the ship on that day. But it should be fun. It will be fun up there. And like I say, we're bouncing all over British Columbia, Washington, down into Oregon. We are going to marry up with you and Eric with your group in Washington, and make sure that when we get a call from somebody who thinks they saw a Bigfoot out in Washington State, we're going to give you guys a call, or FOG. If it's a Paranormal 911, we're going right to Eric Cooper, and he can send a team out basically anywhere to find out what's going on. So, again, that's
and I am on his astral emergency team, so when you send an SOS out to him, it's usually me and the team
that are
being contacted.
So we get all of Forest Moon up there?
Yep.
Excellent.
Yeah, the whole astral team goes.
Oh, because you guys do astral traveling. Yeah, do you remote view?
Yes.
Oh, hey, stop it. I took my pants off because I spilled tea on them. What are you doing? Well, I want to thank you for...
Don't worry, I won't tell.
I want to thank you for dropping by tonight, Skeeter, and I'm looking forward to more of these shenanigans tomorrow night when you come on with Two Mediums and Large with Paisley. You'll love Paisley, and we'll be back on after Cosmic Passport. Remember, it's not the host before the host. Elizabeth is the host of her own show. And if you want to get a hold of young Skeeter Welhouse, where can they do that, Skeeter?
You can get me either on a little questionnaire through my webpage at bluemoonweaver.com, or you can hit me up directly at bluemoonweaver@gmail.com.
bluemoonweaver@gmail.com. Gee, I wonder what you do. You don't do weaving or something, do you?
I work with textiles, yes.
Excellent.
Hang up with you, I will be sewing again.
All right. So get back to work. Thanks, and I'll see you again tomorrow night, Skeeter.
See you tomorrow night. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I thank you, everybody out there, and call her tomorrow and get a reading. That's on Two Mediums and a Large with Paisley Town, Skeeter Welhouse. And I want you all to have a lovely weekend. Those down in Australia, thanks for tuning in. And everybody else, remember, please keep an open mind.
This is our and souls set free. All that we have is now. If this is what you want, then come to me.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing as they go, what are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget your soul. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. Run through the hill like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after. No!
I see dead people.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.